You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, a law passed sees its day in the Supreme Court. We'll tell you why.
As we tick by the days of the middle of January, our snow is quickly going to become a thing of the past with these temperatures we get to enjoy. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Peng Shuai suddenly retires out of the blue, but is there more to it? We'll show you what we know about the situation. All that and more coming up.
Watch News starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The fate of a Missouri gun law is in the state Supreme Court's hands. The court heard arguments on the constitutionality of a new state law that forbids local law enforcement from enforcing federal gun laws. A lower court judge rejected a challenge to the law brought by St. Louis City and County and Kansas City officials last August, so they appealed to the higher court. The gun law has strong opposition from police departments across the state, and federal law enforcement officials have said it hampers criminal investigations and hurts cooperation between federal and local investigators.
The federal government cares about this case because this law has posed substantial threats to public safety. Because of HB 85, it has become harder for us to investigate all manner of crime, including violent crime, in this state.
State officials who are defending the law argue it is necessary to prevent federal officials from trying to enforce new gun control measures. Gun rights groups such as the Missouri Firearms Coalition have also weighed in, arguing that the law is needed because the gun rights are in a precarious situation in America. Joplin City Council sees the results of a study looking at city employee pay compared to other municipalities in the area. Study compared pay to cities including Carthage, Pittsburgh, and Jasper County, as well as Branson, Springfield, and Bentonville, Arkansas. It found that at the start of the study in March of 2020, Joplin City pay was below other areas, but got better over time and ended higher than in many cities.
Locally, we're in fact leading in a lot of areas, but there's more work to do if we're to compete regionally and attract good talent from throughout the region.
The council also approved earlier alcohol sales on Sundays, effective April 1st. Habitat for Humanity Restore puts out a call for donations. The Restore accepts home improvement items that are usually left over after folks renovate their homes. Customers get to pick up needed items for a lower price, and the money benefits Habitat for Humanity.
So it's a big benefit for people like them or anybody in the general public just to come and buy it for way less than what the prices of everything is uptown, because everything's gotten so high. Everybody stops here before they hit the major stores anymore.
If you'd like to donate to the Restore, you can call to schedule a drop-off time. You can find the number in this story on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Ascension via CHRISTI Cancer Center in Pittsburgh unveils its new look with an emphasis on private treatment rooms. Previously, the chemotherapy treatment center had an open floor concept. That's now changed with 7 renovated private rooms. Hospital officials say the overhaul was prompted by the changing landscape of patient care over the past 25 years. Mount Carmel Foundation raised nearly $1 million for the remodeling.
The community once again, answered the call and raised $900,000 for us to remodel the cancer center with a focus on our treatment areas. Over the time, sort of the methodology and preference of patients kind of went from the open arena format to more of a closed private environment so they could have family members with them as they were being treated, opportunity to watch television and just sort of relax while they were receiving their treatment. So again, really so happy that the community's stepped up to support us once again.
On top of the private chemo treatment rooms, the renovations included upgrades to the waiting area and family resource room. Pittsburgh city officials announced a new FedEx facility coming to town is slated to open in October. We told you weeks ago that FedEx was exploring a new facility in Pittsburgh. We learned construction is already underway. It'll be a 250,000 square foot facility west of the Kansas Crossing Casino. It's expected to hire a mix of full-time and part-time employees. City officials say it'll be a big boost to Pittsburgh's economy.
More of a regional center, which is great. We kind of see ourselves as the hub in the region, so we're looking at it like that. These aren't going to be just Pittsburgh people. It's going to be a regional place, and we've always been very fortunate. Whatever we've opened up, the jobs have been created and the jobs have been filled. So people will drive for a good job in this area.
Kansas Governor Kelly says completion of the 4-lane US 69 highway expansion to Pittsburgh was a critical part of this business investment. Well, take a look at this. It's the latest creation from Freddie Novosel Jr. of Illinois. All right. Every year he designs a snow sculpture in his front yard in Collinsville. This year it's Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy on their wedding day. Aw. Novosel says this year's project was pretty hard because of the powdery snow.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice. Even added some color to it.
Yeah. Oh, that is pretty cool right there.
That green turned out real well. Yeah. Aw.
Okay, it's the snow though. And now I'm like, no, I don't want to go back to last week. I don't want to see any more.
No. Yeah, a lot of people I talked to said that this last snow was hard to make snowmen out of.
Yeah. It makes it better for driving though, if that makes any sense.
True.
It's when we get the real wet, sloppy stuff that it'll come down begin as ice. I'm not going to say that I was a fan of all the snow that we picked up last week for sure, but at the same point in time, it could have been much, much worse if it had started out as that wintry frozen rain mix that likes to stick around. The fact that it did actually transition over pretty quick, but you're right. Then the kids walk outside and they're like, well, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense to me. How come I can't build a snowman?
But it was good snow for sledding.
Yes. Oh, yes, it was.
Problem was it was just so darn cold every time you tried to go out.
No joke. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the drawback. It's like, yeah, the kids want to go out and play. They didn't have school. I completely get it. And you want to tell them, hey, probably about 25, 30 minutes, you need to come back in. And I need to check the digits and your nose. Make sure that everything warms up a little bit. Tanya, we still have some snow on the ground outside of Television City. Will so for probably up until tomorrow, but these temperatures are going to dispatch of it rather quickly. At that point, by the time we get to the end of the work week, we're going to be sitting back and it's just going to be a little bit of a muddy mess, unfortunately. Our temperatures on this Tuesday morning, right around the freezing mark, anywhere from about 28 to 35, and a wind chill in effect that puts us into the 20s. Our humidity is going to drop. It's going to drop quickly for this afternoon, and that will cause a little bit of an elevated fire risk. We'll dive into our winds here in just a little bit. Skywatch Storm Tracker, clean as can be. That's with the satellite coverage as well. Throw on the sweeping radar just to prove it. And then kind of back out. You got to go all the way to the East Coast to find anything that's happening because of the high pressure dominating everything west of the Mississippi. Transition into our weather trend for today. Oh, I'll say about 58. We'll see some 60s down to the south. Probably not widespread 60s, but we'll see a 60 every now and then. Down in the southern portion. And then we were talking about that wind. Yeah, really after we get past the noon hour, we'll gust anywhere from 25 to 30 miles per hour. So that's why we got to talk about the elevated fire concerns there, the low humidity and the high winds. A little cloud cover ducking in and out for Tuesday into Wednesday, but Wednesday is giving us a repeat performance of today as abnormally warm temperatures in the high 50s. Thursday looking a little bit more seasonable, if you will. Come on, 7-day. A little bit more seasonable, but then check out this Friday as we finish off our work week up in the 60s.
All right, well, up next, they say sleep is good for you, but did you know it can also help you lose weight? Stick with us. We'll shed some light on this study. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back. Almost all children have tobacco on their hands, and that's according to a new study from San Diego State University and the University of Cincinnati. Researchers swabbed the hands of 500 children ages 11 and younger and found more than 97% of the swabs contained some level of nicotine. Study authors say children are especially vulnerable to third-hand smoke, which is the chemical residue from tobacco left in dust and on surfaces. Yikes. Well, getting more sleep can significantly help with weight loss by cutting daily calorie intake. In a new study from the University of Chicago, dozens of young overweight adults received personalized sleep counseling to get an extra hour or more each night. The extra sleep cut caloric intake by 270 calories a day. If maintained over 3 years, that would translate to 26 pounds of weight loss. Well, up to half of kids around the world drink energy drinks weekly. That's according to a new report out of the UK. The study found teens who consumed energy drinks on 5 or more days of the week had issues with physical and mental health, along with overall poor well-being when compared to those who did not drink them. An average energy drink contains about the same amount of caffeine as a double shot of espresso. More than 900,000 Americans have died from COVID-19, but there are signs the surge from the Omicron variant is falling, and that's allowed several states to announce the end of mask restrictions. CBS's Laura Podesta has details.
From coast to coast, a number of states are ending mask mandates.
This is a huge step back to normalcy for our kids.
New Jersey is lifting its school mask mandate next month. Governor Phil Murphy says the likely approval of vaccines for children under 5 factored into the decision.
And so it's a combination of cases, hospitalizations, positivity rates of transmission, all going dramatically in the right direction.
Students and teachers were happy to hear the news.
I feel like that's mad cool, to be honest.
I teach 7-year-olds, so I'm constantly telling them to keep their masks up, so I think it would be something that they look forward to.
In neighboring Delaware, the school mask mandate is now set to expire at the end of next month.
It will be up to you.
Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont is recommending the state legislature allow the school mask mandate to end on February 28th.
90+% of our folks have had some level of immunity. That makes an enormous difference.
On the West Coast,
I'm over it. I think a lot of people are.
Vaccinated Californians won't have to wear a mask indoors unless a local government has its own ordinance.
I'm 69 years old. I may be one of the holdouts and let the general public come into my store, elect whether they wear a mask or not.
Oregon is also ending its indoor mask requirement next month. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
In New York, once the epicenter of the pandemic, the governor hinted she may remove the school mask mandate this week, but also wants to see child vaccination rates go up. A highway bridge in northwest Germany was detonated on Sunday morning in an exceptionally exciting operation. The controlled detonation had to be monitored closely to prevent damage to the new bridge, which was built alongside the old one and has recently been inaugurated. For safety reasons, there it goes. Ooh. For safety reasons, the crowd of curious bystanders had to maintain a distance of 984 feet. That's a randomly specific number. The area was temporarily sealed off and no traffic was allowed to cross the new bridge. The bridge, measuring 1,593 feet long and 236 feet high, collapsed cleanly and according to plan. Before detonation, higher parts of the bridge had been dismantled in order to better control the collapse. It was the first time ever a bridge of that height was detonated in Germany.
Very impressive video of it falling down. Now I've got to ask the logistical question. Do we know how they're going to clean it up?
Ooh. I don't know if they thought about that. I'm sure they did.
It would be, I think mainly so, because it interests me, is when we see stadiums and arenas and domes, old sporting venues that are demoed in the United States. I've always wondered how cool it would be to be the one to be able to push the button.
Mm-hmm. How many buttons did they push, though? Was there one master? Because there was a lot of wires.
Because it's almost synchronous like that, I bet you it almost feels like there's one.
You know how it went straight down? Mm-hmm. They made it to where like the interior legs buckled together instead of all. Yeah.
It's crazy, the math and science and engineering that go into that. That's really neat.
Very impressive.
All right, live look outside of Television City. That's where we stand here at 7:16 on this Tuesday morning. Our current conditions, certainly not too bad. 35 degrees. Probably want a coat here when you do take outside, because we're as low as still 29 in Neodesha and Independence. And we're getting a little pre-sunrise drop. We did see some 38s, 39s out there earlier. Carthage is at 34. And Nevada, Fort Scott at 32. Miami, 34 as well. Wind chills anywhere from, say 22 to 24. Wind chills very, very close together, despite the fact that we see about a 10-degree change in our temperatures from one side to the other. Our wind chills just right there. Skywatch Storm Tracker, Nice, clean, and clear. We're going to have to drive into the drought monitor here when I see you in just a little bit, because we are at a shortage of precipitation on our daily almanac. In fact, go all the way back to December 1. We're going to find ourselves about 2.5, almost 3 inches below our historical norm, because it's going to be a dry and breezy week as we get to a 7-day forecast. Even Thursday, you go, well, you know, Thursday's a little bit cooler. You have to remember, that's our average high for this time of year. That's right on par. And we're just going to get spoiled here for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Cold front coming on Saturday. That precipitation, 30%, it will not be widespread. It will be nothing like what we encountered last week. No need to get worried about that. Get out and enjoy some fresh air in February sunshine this week until it gets a little chilly over the weekend. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Raymond Oldham. Specialist Oldham served in the Army from 1963 to 1969. He served in Vietnam 2 separate times, once from 66 to 67, and then again from 68 to 69. He had 5 units he served with, the first being the Engineers 31st Battalion. During his service, he earned the Vietnam Service Medal, the Vietnam Campaign Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, and the Good Conduct Medal. His hometown, Carthage, Missouri. We thank you, today's four-state hero, Specialist Raymond Oldham. Well, on day 3 of the Beijing Winter Olympics, Team USA had yet to strike gold. Overnight, one of its top athletes, skier Michaela Schifrin, failed to finish the event that she won 4 years ago. The U.S. has won 3 silver medals so far in skating, mogul skiing, and slopestyle snowboarding. Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai made a surprise appearance as a spectator over the weekend. In an interview, she denied again that she ever accused a former top Chinese official of sexual abuse. Jamie Yukas is in Beijing.
Peng Shuai, former #1 in doubles, rocked the sports world with her social media post that appeared to accuse former Chinese Vice Premier Zheng Gaoli of sexual assault back in November. In a fresh interview with French newspaper L'Equipe, Peng says she never said anyone had sexually assaulted me in any way, calling the situation a huge misunderstanding. She also said she had not disappeared, but was simply slow to respond to the overwhelming number of messages asking about her well-being. International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach met face-to-face with Peng in Beijing over the weekend.
We've been in contact with her. We remain in contact with her. We've met her in person. We've invited her to come to Europe, and we will meet her again.
The news overshadowed an eventful day at the Games, a terrific program as the USA claimed silver. Meanwhile, 15-year-old star Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva and 20-year-old New Zealander Zoe Sadowski-Sennett won her nation's first ever winter gold medal with a pylon celebration by her awestruck competitors. People are saying that this is the best moment so far of the Olympics.
Yeah, I guess we're pretty early on in the Olympics. I can't take it too much, but yeah.
On the COVID front, although positive cases seem to be trending down in the Olympic bubble, Team USA was dealt another blow. Figure skater Vincent Zhou tested positive after competing in the team event. He is undergoing additional testing to confirm that result. Jamie Yuka, CBS News, Beijing.
All right, we'll be right back with another check for your forecast when we return.
We talked earlier about this wide variety of temperatures that we're seeing on this Tuesday morning, and I was a little bit surprised when I went through this, and the 36-hour weather train going back to Joplin Regional Airport only topped out at 49 degrees yesterday afternoon. Did a little research and whatnot, and sure enough, there were a slew of low 60s that were up there. Chanute sticks out there. It was up to 61 degrees in Chanute yesterday. Our daily almanac on this February the 8th would put our average high at 48. We'll be substantially above that, not only for today, but also into tomorrow, as we find ourselves actually one of the best looking places to start off in the Midwest. Cooler temperatures both to the east, west, and down to the south. We're 6 degrees warmer than Oklahoma City right now. Over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin, sitting at 35 degrees. We do have wind chills that are still in the 20s, anywhere from about 20 to 23. Look at Mount Vernon on the right-hand side, barely hanging on there. to 20. And now eventually we'll combo the sun and the southwest wind, still 5 to 10 miles per hour right now. So that's not too bad one bit. And there's the glow cloud. It'll begin its melt. And there's that wide variety of temperatures stretching anywhere from 29 is what we see in Iola, 36 right now in Miami and in Grove. Earlier we had a couple 39s, kind of dropped just a couple degrees. Other thing, if you got any limbs, brush, anything that's left over may have fallen out during last week's snow and ice, best thing to do is not to burn them today because that relative humidity is really going to plummet down, and we're so dry. And I know that sounds a little counterintuitive with all the snow that we have on the ground, but we really do need some precipitation, and we're not going to have any anytime soon. And that's in part to the west of the Mississippi just remaining so dry right now. We've got high pressure systems that are running on just this side of the jet stream. But at the same point, that brings us a whole lot of sunshine as well. Weather trend for our Tuesday. We'll see some additional 60s, mainly high 50s on the board. And also too, of note, this afternoon, yeah, we're going to kick up some gusts right there, close to 25 to 30 miles per hour. So that's what I was saying as far as not worth probably trying to burn anything outside. Let it die down here for a couple of days. Speaking of a couple of days, we'll get a repeat performance on Wednesday. Probably even see some warmer temperatures on certain places Wednesday, especially down to the south, than what we will today. Thursday, very seasonable, 48 degrees. Remember, the Daily Almanac says that's right where we should be. And then we close out the work week in a fine fashion before our weekend cold front hits, but we'll be all the way up into the 60s there. Good looking Valentine's Day as well. Look at Monday, close to 60 degrees with more sunshine. We've got another half hour of news and weather coming your way on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. A woman pretends to be a German heiress, and now Netflix is making a show based off this wild but true story. And another character loses her boyfriend and is convinced he's trying to contact her from the other side. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:32. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt talks taxes in his 2022 State of the State address, specifically grocery taxes. Governor said he's embracing a longtime goal of the state's Democrats eliminating the sales tax on groceries. Although the legislature will have record high revenue to spend on the budget, more than $10 billion, Governor Stitt and legislative leaders are predicting relatively flat spending levels. There's also expected to be some divisions among Republicans in the legislature over education vouchers, vaccine mandates, and loosening restrictions on guns. City of Pittsburgh officially announces a new FedEx ground distribution center coming to town. Officials say construction is already underway. It'll be a 250,000 square foot facility west of the Kansas Crossing Casino. It's expected to hire a mix of full-time and part-time employees. City officials say it'll be a big boost to Pittsburgh's economy.
For employees is something that's out there with all of our businesses, so we want to be aware of that and not, be small enough to think that, oh yeah, it's not going to have some kind of an issue with other people that are employing. But we've got great employers in Pittsburgh, and they pay a good wage, and I think if anything, it's just going to be a chance to attract more people to our area.
The new facility is expected to open in October. Neosho County Community College in Chanute, Kansas is one of several recent recipients of grant money from the USDA. The college received a grant for $745,000 to help with the renovation of an old facility in the Chanute Industrial Park. That facility is being converted into the Mitchell Career and Technology Center, which will offer new programs for high school and college students. Most of the $4 million cost is covered by grants and donations, including the USDA grant, which allowed the college to add on to this project.
It paid for most of the classrooms at our new location, and it paid for the electrical lab for people who want to become electricians. We'll be able to offer that program in the future as well. So we're very, very grateful to the U.S. government for providing that grant to us.
InBody says they hope to have the campus open by this fall. Ascension via CHRISTI Cancer Center in Pittsburgh unveils its new look with an emphasis on private treatment rooms. Previously, the chemotherapy treatment center had an open floor concept that is now changed with 7 renovated private rooms. The Mount Carmel Foundation raised nearly $1 million for the remodeling. Hospital officials say the changing landscape of patient care is the reason for the overhaul.
The ideas came from our foundation. They felt like that the open arena was something that we needed to take a look at, so we brought our engineers in, took a look at what we can do with the space, and developed a design that would still allow for the nurses to have line of sight view of their patients while they're receiving the treatment, but also the privacy of having a private room.
In addition to the private chemo treatment rooms, the renovations included upgrades to the waiting area and family resource room. Archaeologists in southern Italy have discovered ancient warrior helmets and the ruins of a painted brick wall at a site that might have been a forerunner of a temple dedicated to the goddess Athena. The remains dug up at the popular tourist site of Velia were found on what had been an acropolis of one of Magna Graecia's most important cities. Velia is 25 miles southeast of Paestum, a much visited site of ancient Greek temples. Recently completed excavation at Velia unearthed a pair of helmets in good condition, but the remains of a building, vases with the Greek inscription "For Sacred," and metal fragments of what possibly were weapons.
I wonder how they're in good condition after that long in the elements. That's amazing.
I know.
Does it say what they were contained in?
No,
or?
it did not. Yeah, just pretty cool though.
Yeah, that's. I love it when they find stuff like that. I enjoy smart people. Current conditions over 7th and Rangeline. We sit at 35 degrees right now. Officially past sunrise, so we can begin our warm up. We're going to kick it into the 40s here by the time we get to 8:30. Temperatures ranging. We still have, out in southeast Kansas, still below the freezing mark there, 30 in Parsons and in Independence, and then just above it in Lamar and Nevada. We now have Miami and Grove, our high spots, all the way up to 36 degrees. Wind, not a drastic increase as of yet. Will this afternoon. So once we get past the noon hour is when we'll begin to pick up there and get some 30-mile-per-hour gusts. But we can finally begin to melt all that snow still remaining outside of Television City. Skywatch Storm Tracker, it is the high pressure dominating everything west of the Mississippi. That's why it's so amazingly quiet on the other side of the river. Now you get on the east side, you've got some activity that's working its way through the Florida Panhandle up to the Mid-Atlantic. No severe weather expected though. And then they got a good old-fashioned February mess there, far northeastern portion of the U.S. Rain, snow, sleet, the whole nine. We already did ours last week. We get a break from it all. As far as our weather trend goes on this Tuesday, sunny skies up around 60 degrees. And we'll definitely touch some 60s to the south. Almost the same day on Wednesday. Very, very similar in nature. We cool a little bit on Thursday, right back into the 60s on Friday. And then Friday night into Saturday, cold front. Chilly Saturday coming our way. That rain, if you see a couple snowflakes, it is not going to be widespread. It will be nothing like what we encountered last week, that is for sure. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. This morning on the KOAM News Now Instapoll, your Valentine's Day plans. With flower prices on the rise, whether it be the supply chain, that's getting in the way. Everything's just going to be more expensive this year. But then again, doesn't it seem like it's that way every year? Flower shops telling you you need to order ASAP. Do not wait until the last second. But specifically our questions is, what are your plans for Valentine's Day? And right now, and it's been steady all morning long, 63% of you say really don't have any plans. 13% say we're going to grab something to eat. And then we're evenly split between gift giving, spending time, or perhaps you have other plans. Several ways to connect to us each and every morning. You can go directly to the poll at koamnewsnow.com/vote. Also, our Facebook page, KOAM News Now, or if you've got your phone handy, you can just snap a picture of our QR code, and that will deliver you to the poll each and every morning. A new series based on a true story about a real-life fake, courtesy of creator Shonda Rhimes, joining the bingeable options this week. It's Netflix's series called Inventing Anna. We got a preview with the cast, thanks in part to Ashley Dvorkin.
Netflix is Inventing Anna stars Julia Garner as fake German heiress Anna Delvey, who conned her way into New York's high society. Garner met Anna in prison, learning a lot from her energy.
She's extremely charming, that she was surprisingly bubbly at many moments, and that she was likable. And that also just made it much more complex.
It's always important to have quality clothing.
The Ozark star worked hard on Anna's accent, which stuck around a little.
There was a period of time where I was doing Delvey and the last season of Ozark at the same time, which is insane. Then when I started just talking as like myself for certain things, there were certain words that was still Delvey because I didn't really have a chance to have time to shake off Delvey and put my voice back.
Fellow cast also met real-life counterparts.
I was very blessed to create Neff with Neff.
She trained me one morning, and then we went out for lunch and had, I know.
All are amazed at the unbelievable true story.
You have to ask yourself, given a different set of circumstances, would I also act that way? I think that's what's sort of, disturbing, is she makes it look so easy.
It also says a lot that she went to jail and many men that do the same stuff don't go to jail.
It's like she was trying to rent the pyramids of Egypt and she was so close.
200,000 is the first loan that she gets. The chutzpah that this woman has, taking fake it till you make it to a whole other level.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
District attorney that prosecuted her is Cyrus Vance Jr. And yeah, he's the son of that Cyrus Vance. We'll have more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 coming up, including why Joe Rogan in more hot water than he even was before.
Spotify podcast host Joe Rogan is facing more controversy after clips of him using racial slurs resurfaced. Fox News' Chris DeMeo has more on Rogan's apology and how Spotify is addressing the backlash.
Video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly.
Podcast host Joe Rogan sparking new outrage after videos showing him repeatedly saying the N-word have resurfaced.
It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together.
The host of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast on Spotify issuing an apology over the weekend while also explaining why he chose to say the N-word in the first place.
When I would bring that word up, like if it would come up in conversation, instead of saying the N-word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand.
More than 100 episodes of Rogan's podcast have been since removed from Spotify. And in a letter to company employees, CEO Daniel Ek says Rogan's comments do not represent Spotify's values, but that, quote, I do not believe that silencing Joe is the answer. Ek is, however, investing $100 million to help promote music and audio from historically marginalized groups. The backlash comes after a number of musicians, including Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, recently removed their music from Spotify after accusing Rogan of promoting false information about COVID-19 vaccines on his podcast.
The controversy around Joe Rogan is a test case for Spotify, and it's a really difficult balancing act.
Going forward, Spotify says it will include content warnings ahead of any COVID-19 related podcast. Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
A supernatural romantic drama. I couldn't make that up. Debuts this week on Paramount Plus. Our man, Rick DeMiguela, talked with the cast of The In-Between.
I don't understand.
What is happening? When the separation is dramatic, there's unfinished business. He's in the in-between.
A young couple torn apart from each other by an accident reconnect in the supernatural romance, The In-Between.
He's reaching out to you. Reach back.
The non-linear storyline shows the couple's life before and after the accident, something which star Joey King enjoyed filming.
I really enjoyed the
just like the roller coaster nature of it. In one single day, I'd be switching wigs, being sad that, it's after the accident, and the next scene just being all in love and happy with Kyle. So it was just kind of a crazy whirlwind, and it was really, really fun to be able to balance that. Kept you on your toes. I never was bored, that's for sure.
You said he was cute. Emojis are cute. That guy is melting my sunglasses, Tess.
I play Skylar, who is a multi-talented kind of Renaissance hopeless romantic, who contrasts Joey King's character Tessa, who's much more, reserved and closed off and sort of afraid of love because of her past.
The film was shot in Atlanta, Georgia during the pandemic.
We tried to keep everything feeling like a family and a community, even while we still, had to wear our masks and our shields and all of that. So it was a little bit of a challenge to navigate it, but all for good reason.
I just wish I could see him one more time, even for a minute.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
So if you're interested, The In-Between begins streaming on Paramount Plus Friday and Friday night into Saturday when that cold front arrives. Might be a good time to tuck in and watch a little bit. Live look outside of 7th and Range Line in Joplin, where we sit at 35 degrees. Really haven't seen a whole lot of movement as of yet. We've been in between about 29 and 36 all morning long. Still do have the wind chill, though, ranging from about 21 to 23 degrees. So make sure you grab that jacket on the way out. Skywatch Storm Tracker, we're going to be dry. We've got what's called frontal passages that are going to work through this week, and there's nary a raindrop in them. And at some point in time, because we're down not only for the year, but also dating back to December 1, need to kind of turn our attention and check out the drought monitor every now and then, because we're starting to see that severe category creep into portions of northeast Oklahoma and make its way north across the state line into southeast Kansas as well. Looks like moderate then is kind of the second category that we have on our hands. We surround that with the dry category. Of course, it's certainly nothing like what they have out to the west. We find ourselves in that dry category just about on the far eastern edge of where the drought problems really start for the west and southwestern portion of the United States. Highs today, close to 60 degrees, whole lot of sunshine, going to be able to roll it again, but like I said, just void of precipitation. Even Saturday, when that front rolls in, and maybe you're binging that show there on Paramount Plus, even when it rolls in, it's not going to be widespread, and we're not going to pick up hardly any accumulation. Little rebound on Sunday, great looking Valentine's Day, pushing right back up, close to 60 degrees if you got overnight or late night plans right there. Jacket will suffice, and you won't have any travel concerns either. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. World leaders are pushing for a diplomatic solution to the standoff over Ukraine. Over 100,000 Russian troops are now conducting exercises along the Ukrainian border. The U.S. has warned that an attack will lead to unprecedented economic sanctions against Moscow. Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country is not planning an invasion. The bells of Washington National Cathedral rang out last night in memory of the country's COVID-19 victims. They tolled 900 times, honoring the more than 900,000 lives lost to the coronavirus in the U.S. Nominations for this year's Oscars are being unveiled today. Because of the pandemic, the Academy Awards ceremony won't take place until March 27th, more than 2 months later than normal. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Interesting article coming out of CNN, Tanya, about how the tensions between Russia and Ukraine, a lot of that may depend on their late winter, early spring weather. As far as if an invasion were to take place, especially the back of the logistical line of the Russian army, if it had a chance to be mired down in the bog and the mud because they have not received the normal amount of ice or snow that normally they would have on frozen ground.
Huh.
Yeah.
Makes me think of back to like the Revolutionary War and what George Washington faced and the weather and stuff.
Also, when the Russian winter is, essentially why the Germans could not invade the German army could not invade Russia in 1941.
There you go. Mother Nature.
That's right.
Playing a role. All right, well, you want to have a final check?
Oh, 50s today.
Speaking of the
high,
weather.
High 50s today. We're in store for great February weather. We won't have a cold front until Saturday.
All right, a Swedish enterprise is testing a reward-based system in which wild birds help humans pick up trash. It's pretty cool. Video from Corvid Cleaning showed crows picking up training sticks and dropping them into a bin. Peanuts are then dispensed as a reward. The bin will tell litter apart from other items such as stones and leaves and only reward litter. The birds take part as much or as little as they wish, and the only human involvement is to empty the bin and refill the food.
The smart birds.
I like it.
Operation Barbosa. I don't know why it slipped my mind right there. I could not spit it out. Operation Barbosa.
There you go.
Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. Back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
Dear Winter,